Good day, everyone, and welcome to Obedient Family TV. The program is Hope Alive. Yes, Hope Day for those that believe that a new Nigeria is possible. And I know that a lot of people really believe that a new Nigeria is possible. Today, we'll be going into discussing what is happening in Nigeria. As we know, yesterday, Tinubu went to commission the rail red line in Lagos and took a jab at the NLC, mocking NLC and the hardship protesters on what he calls that you can't judge him within 8 months. That we are bringing up so that everybody will have his own say on whether 8 months is enough for Tinubu to actually implement certain policies that he has already mapped out as he plans to run with it and grab it as it may. And again, we have another thing on the table to discuss, which has to deal with the restoration. Tinubu finally restored power yesterday, just yesterday, to Niger Republic. And the Niger neighbors of ours were jubilating and all of that. Very powerful distance, as I think Niger has actually made us to understand that without them, that there will be serious hunger in Nigeria. How hard that is possible, we'll find out and as we go into the discussion. Also, we have our own Anambra lawmaker, Henry Mbaju, who advocates change of strategy in the fight against poverty as he goes within his constituency, as we can see in the video going around him, giving out stipends to the market women, visiting them directly, as we can see. And we encourage more lawmakers who go around to do that, to alleviate poverty and help in this fight against poverty. We have also doctors lamenting the prescription of drugs hike in various pharmacies across the federation. Plus, what we brought yesterday that has to do with the women from River State that are actually saying that Viko should concentrate at the federal capital territory. They came out in their numbers to say that Simfubara, the governor of River State, has to take mantle of the leadership to actually propel River State to the necessary or to desired destination. And I'm not the only one to speak about this. I have Divine in the studio with me to talk all this.
A warm welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Yes, and wherever you are joining us from today, good morning, afternoon, and evening, wherever the time zone is at your own location. We want you to like and share this video so that other obedient and well-meaning Nigerians worldwide will know that Obedient Family TV is back on. That is the least you can do for Obedient Family TV that comes every day to bring about all what is happening in Nigeria and for us to preparing ourselves, redefining the options that we have for 2027. So let's get this thing started, the conversation. Let's look at the jab that Tinubu threw yesterday, whether it's a punch or it's a jab, we wouldn't know. But before we do that, let's take a listen to what he said exactly.
Allow me to throw a jab here. The labor union should understand that no matter how much we cling to our freedom and rights, to call for strike within 9 months of an administration is unacceptable. If you want to participate in the electoral process, wait on 2027. If not, maintain peace. You are not the only voice of Nigerians.
This happened just yesterday while commissioning the rail red line project in Lagos, and people were actually clapping for Chief Bola Tinubu for taking a jab, as he calls it. But it's really an insult and a mockery to the Nigerians who had been protesting vehemently across the Federation throughout this very period. It's more of throwing a jab not just to the NLC but to the overall of Nigerian hungry populace. That is what I see here. So people look at it from different dimensions. He said 2027, if they want to participate in the election. I mean, we have gone beyond the election this time. We are talking about governance here. And Tinubu, Chief Tinubu, being an elder, should actually look at it. He's mocking the overall hungry Nigerians. That is what I see in the reflection of his statements. And this also makes a mockery of NLC stopping their protest within 24 hours because they have not dared him enough. Because if they had proceeded on going more and had to shut down the government for 24 or 48 hours, I believe Tinubu will be asking Nigerians for forgiveness on this very hunger.
Well, what we can see here is really an impunity, to be very honest. And I really don't understand why, in the first place, you're going to come out and say that you're throwing a jab, right? And it's like, even if you were going to say anything to the Nigerian Labour Congress or you had anything to communicate to them, doing it publicly is not something that should be encouraged, because, I mean, you can have closed-door meetings with these people, right? And it just shows the Nigerian Labour Congress that, calling off the whole protest was not just the smartest thing to do, to be very honest, because all we can see here is an arrogance, right? Telling them you're throwing jabs. It's one thing to say, oh, I have something to say, or you guys should please, be a little bit patient with my administration and stuff. But to just, casually just take your throwing jabs and tell them they should wait till 2027. The majority of the Nigerian populace, they're hungry, and it's like, you can't tell them to wait till 2027 because these people are feeling the hunger right now. I mean, having dared us to, the reaction, the area I'm looking at is, he has dared the Nigerian youths to look out for 2027. Right. It's not just about NLC. NLC does not participate in election process. You understand me? Right. They has to deal with welfare of workers and welfare of Nigerians in general. Right. But the point is, having that jab about let's wait till 2027, he's trying to tell the hungry Nigerian youths that, you know what? Let's see what happened in 2027. So I believe that Tinubu had dared the Nigerian populace, not just the NLC. Everybody is looking at their perspective or the opinion of NLC's protest. But this is going around for all Nigerians, all the youths, all the hungry people, the white market women that are all protesting, the hunger that is going on in the land. Tinubu has dared you for 2027. It's entirely up to you. Well, I think that is, I will leave that there. We will visit that some other time. Now, let's look at the other thing that we have on the table. We have the issue of Tinubu restoring power after 7 months of shutting down Niger Republic. And it seemed like Niger Republic plays an integral role in the hunger that is happening in Nigeria now. Hence, how can you see, why would the restoration of power back to them mean a lot and becomes a public, headline news in Nigeria? Well, it's probably because we share borders with these people, and they're part of the reason why we're able to import food freely, right? And this is coming after the ECOWAS lifted the ban that was on Niger Republic, coming from the coup that happened in Niger Republic months ago. And it really reminds me of when former President Buhari mentioned that he was going to be retiring to Niger Republic. And after the whole sanction happened and there was no light, we didn't really hear from him. We saw him go back to, Daura, his hometown. So as I'm really just thinking, does this man get to go back to Niger Republic now that they've, restored power to them?
I think in that context,
right.
Probably, Buhari first closed the borders of Niger Republic. Probably no sanctions as at that time because there was no coup, like you said. But yes, he did tell Nigerians that he will be retiring there. So most of the concentration, he supported Niger Republic with a whole lot of things. planning to go back there to settle down. Right. But unfortunately, the coup happened, and then his plans just happened that he has to go back to his village in Daura to spend some months. Right. But now a reconsideration coming from ECOWAS, which prompted, of course, we know Tinubu is the chairman of ECOWAS, so Nigeria opening the border and everything, restoration of different things, going back to Niger Republic is a result of all of this when you put them all into perspective. But it may not be unconnected to the sanction that, the counter sanction that Niger Republic hit on Nigerians' airspace, because flights that are coming into Nigeria now has to pass through other routes instead of going directly, and it takes them much more time. And if that persists for some time, then it means that a lot is going to happen. A further hunger and hardship is going to be put to Nigeria. And of course, the international community, as we know, are interested in all of this. But for Tinubu to have done this, it means that the people at the USA and the UK, I mean, they seem to have said, you know what, let's let this slide. But whether it hurts Nigeria, we wouldn't know. But the point I want you to look at again is Niger have either 8 or 9 states, right, about 8 states, yes, and Nigeria is supplying about 7 states of those state lights. Now, in the past 7 months that there's a blackout in Niger Republic outside of yesterday that it was restored. Why is it that Nigeria is not, or 1 or 2 states have not said that they had a very 24 hours or 48 hours power supply outside of the Abia State Power Generation Plant that they just commissioned? Why is it that the grid is even falling? There's a lot of heat wave and we're not having enough power.
Well, that is really a very salient point you raised, to be very honest, because one would think for a nation that is supplying light to, you know, a country all this while, and now they stopped supplying it, you expect the capacity, or rather all those energy that's being saved due to the ECOWAS ban on Niger Republic is going to be transferred, and maybe we're going to see increased power supply here. But that is not the case. We had the news of the power minister saying that they were going to be unable to pay subsidies on, you know, power, right? But it's just really interesting to see, because the residents of Niger Republic yesterday were jubilating because they had power supply for 24 hours, and it's like, why is some people that, would I say, benefiting from our power, or rather our grid, were they able to you know, relate to having frequent power supply? Meanwhile, the people who are supposedly giving these people the light cannot boast of 24 hours of power supply. So it's just something shady going on, probably with our you know, power sector.
Yes, I think every Nigerian already knows that Niger Republic, Benin Republic, they enjoy more power than ours, and they always give us the impression, because they don't have much states, but Nigeria gives them much power to that. And before we go outside of what Chief Bola Tinubu has been doing and the economic hardship in Nigeria, we will not fail to mention that Tinubu is also trending internationally. And trending internationally prevents investors coming to Nigeria after they hear what the talk has been across the globe in different countries. But let's take a look at this very particular broadcast or program that voiced so much on the hardship that Tinubu has put Nigeria into. Let's take a listen.
As largest country by population and the continent's second largest economy. That economy, however, is on the brink of a meltdown. Nigeria's inflation is at about 30%, 30, the highest it has been in almost 3 decades. And it's taking a toll. Yesterday, the people took to the streets to show that they'd had enough.
Greatest Bastos!
We are suffering. We are suffering for Nigeria. It's not like this before, but we want change for good. Hunger day for Nigeria. Children now, they are hungry. Adults are hungry. Sufferness is too much for Nigeria.
Nigeria is no stranger to inflation. It has seen double-digit inflation continuously for all of the last 8 years. But 30% is no joke. Food inflation is even higher. It's at 35.4%. And that is a hammer blow to ordinary people, especially those who are less well off. There are millions who are suffering in Nigeria.
They are suffering in the land. They are suffering for the worker. You know, no worker can live on 30,000 minimum wage. And over 150 million Nigerians are living below poverty line. Poverty, when you say below it, those are the people that can't get something to eat on a daily basis.
So how did the situation get so bad? Two main reasons. One, the withdrawal of Nigeria's fuel subsidy. It happened the day President Bola Tinubu took office. He announced this in his inaugural address. The fuel subsidy was gone and petrol prices surged from about $1 per gallon to $2.8 a gallon. It may not sound like very much in absolute terms, but imagine if your petrol prices tripled in a day. That would wreak havoc on your budget. And not just for individuals, this applies to businesses as well. Transportation costs skyrocket. All types of transportation, like the moving of food from the farm to the market, or moving goods from the docks to warehouses. These rising costs are passed on to customers, and eventually everything becomes more expensive. So Nigeria's fuel subsidy withdrawal had a domino effect, directly leading to the surging inflation, and the president would have seen this coming. Then why did he withdraw the subsidy? Because of external pressure. The IMF, or International Monetary Fund, and the World Bank both recommended the withdrawal of fuel subsidies. They wanted Nigeria to join the rest of the global free market and level the playing field. Plus, the move was good for Nigeria's government as well. They were spending billions of dollars on the subsidy. It was becoming increasingly unsustainable. So in theory, it was supposed to be a good move. But in practice, it proved to be disastrous. Perhaps because it was done in one fell swoop. The shock of removing the whole subsidy destabilized Nigeria, and now everyone is scrambling to limit the damage, to keep starvation at bay. The government has announced some measures, like stipends for unemployed youth, and a new food stamp system that's being proposed, not to mention the free rice distribution system that is already underway, where people are dying in stampedes as supplies run out. Meanwhile, Nigeria's central bank is raising interest rates. It raised the rate by 4% yesterday to 22.75. This kind of hike has not been seen for 17 years. It highlights the crisis in Nigeria. Now, I mentioned that there were two things driving inflation. The first was the fuel subsidy withdrawal. We've talked about that. The second was devaluing the currency, the Naira. From 2015, the currency has been pegged to the US dollar. This means the value was kept fixed. Its price was not allowed to change, so its real value was never reflected. This had artificially boosted the currency's value, and it helped Nigeria when it came to imports. They could buy essential goods at reasonable rates. But this currency peg was also undone by President Tinubu. He unpegged the Nigerian currency and then devalued it twice. Theoretically, this was another good move. It should have improved investor confidence, brought in foreign investment, and led to creation of jobs and industries. But again, the move backfired. The Naira sank to record lows. This means imports are now far more expensive. Those costs are also passed on to customers, and once again inflation surges. So these were President Tinubu's twin reforms that have wreaked havoc. The intentions may have been good, but the implementation was horrific, and Nigerian people are paying the price, literally.
Chief Bola Tinubu is trending even outside of Nigeria for a whole lot of bad reasons. How are we expecting people to actually come and invest in Nigeria? Well, we have some people who are having comments in our comment section. We have Linda who said, what an embarrassment. And what is this people laughing at? Those are the people who are actually laughing when Tinubu said he's taking a jab at the Nigerian people who are hungry. And then we have Obona who says somebody that his house is burning down and he went about chasing rats in the and that is Tinubu. Then we have the other people who say that Tinubu is mocking the whole Nigeria. And we have other people who has different comments if we can't take all at this very time. So please feel free to go to the comment section and tell us how you feel about this very jab that Tinubu took to the NLC. Do you think it's about the NLC, or Tinubu is mocking hungry Nigerians and daring them to try another feat for 2027? Whatever your thoughts on this, please go there. And coming back to Nigeria, we also have people who are talking a whole lot that Tinubu is on trial and error. Let's take a listen to that.
Tinubu, before he became president, Tinubu was speaking about this time in 2012 in the episode that you referred to. Because there was nothing in that letter that could not be situated in 2024. You know, so, I mean, we've been waiting for the magic, you know, that Tinubu had. The magic that led to his building Lagos. We forget that Lagos has been the federal capital for donkey years, has enjoyed resources, you know, infrastructure development. And so I wonder where, you know, the claim that he built Lagos, you know, came from. Now is the time for the hard work. Let him walk, you know, the talk. I mean, where are those magical things that were attributed to him? Where is his economic, so-called economic team? What we are seeing in the last 9 months is trial by error. Is the kabu-kabu kind of economic policy, where you pick passengers, drop them in Ojuelegba, change, you know, course, start heading to Oshodi. That's what we have, you know, been seeing play out in the last, you know, 9 months. So nothing seems to have changed. But again, let us ask ourselves, you know, a question: what did Tinubu promise us? Tinubu promised that he was going to follow the path of former President Buhari. What was that path? Massive loan, taking of loan. We haven't taken loan to pay the interest on the loan, not the loan itself, not the principal.
Yeah.
Buhari was known for bigotry and nepotism, crass bigotry and nepotism.
We can see a lot of people are saying it's trial and error coming from Tinubu, but you can't be at the helm of affairs of a nation as big as Nigeria and you'll be doing trial and error. You should have an economic team that is very proactive and should be able to bring a solution to the trouble. We also have people are dying in hospitals every day. Prescription drugs are so high right now that even the FG, the federal government, has said they are going to bring up an executive order to actually tame the prices of subscription drugs. But let's take a listen again to what the doctors have to say.
The removal of fuel subsidy and the steady depreciation of Naira against the dollar and other major global currencies did not only affect the cost of living but also the health sector, especially in the area of prescription drugs for patients. Nigerians with health challenges are in grave danger as the prices of medicine were now beyond the reach of most people, coupled with the realities on ground where most Nigerians cannot afford a decent meal per day. Medical doctors express concerns over what they faced on daily basis while treating patients with various ailments.
I tell you, by the grace of God, I can speak of some experience. I work in a hospital, and when they get these bills, you look at the person feels, no problem, let me go home. And I'm wondering, what's the person going to do? And then because there are some bad people, I say bad people, there will be increase in fake drug because nature avoids vacuum. But once the original is not there, the bad people begin to substitute. And that's why suddenly increase in organ related issues are there, disease complications are there.
And our government is not doing enough. They're just paying lip services. They're paying lip services. You know, let them sit down if they want to tackle the problem of Nigeria. I tell you, they can tackle it. because Nigeria has everything to deal with any issue. Only if we can sit down and say, and call a spade a spade.
The chairman of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, Rivers State Branch, Anele promised, wants the federal government to declare a state of emergency on prescription drugs and to encourage local manufacturers in order to save lives.
So local manufacturing is the way to go. But because it's not an instant thing, that means government needs to show intervention in terms of what enables this product come into this country. So there is need for custom duty needs to be reviewed, looked at. How does it affect our drugs coming in?
The situation was more terrifying, with major manufacturing companies folding up their operations in Nigeria as the environment for business becomes more difficult. Medical experts say if nothing was done as soon as possible, it will lead to natural disaster, as it will pave way for fake drugs.
The issue of hunger and hardship is everywhere. It's not about people are dying in hospitals, no drugs, and they are being all reported outside of the banditry and the other things that are happening. So, like this man that spoke about said trial and error, we have the trending, Tinubu trending about the economic activity, and I believe that probably today, by tomorrow, he'll be meeting with the Emir of Qatar, and he is just outside traveling with his family. Of course, we saw from the delegates list.
Well, in reference to the man on the live that mentioned chasing rats while a house is burning, it just reminds me of the situation with Binance, where two top executives of Binance were detained by the Nigerian government because, according to them, they are manipulating the naira and devaluing it. And it's just very funny because it's like we have people daily who come out to protest to say that they are hungry, but yet you're bothered about Binance and people who are doing their business trying to scrap cryptocurrency. And it's like, what does that do? What is the outlook? Nigeria is no longer looking like a safe investment option for foreign investors, because if people watching this see this from a distance, the investors are not going to be interested in coming to Nigeria to invest. So like the person on live rightly said, the house is on fire, Nigeria is on fire, we have pressing issues, and Tinubu is really just chasing rats. And concerning him trending for the wrong reasons, to be very honest, this is not the first time that he has trended for the wrong reasons, because we saw it even with the Chicago situation and everything. There's never anything about this man that's been, legitimate, to be very honest. And so coming to the topic of the fuel subsidy reduction or removal or fuel subsidy removal, actually, it probably had a good intention, right? But they were trying to level the playing field by taking IMF's and the World Bank's advice, but they forgot to, level the playing field and also take the traders' implementation strategy. And so it's beyond just coming to just implement it. Him and his economic team knew this in 2012 when they were writing to Goodluck Jonathan concerning the adverse effect of the removal of fuel subsidy. Yeah. One would expect that for someone who foresaw this or who wrote something that publicized about it to the then president, one would expect that he's going to do something very differently. But it's just sad to see, because now it's a situation of all talk and no action, because when you were not in the seats, you had a lot to say and a lot to expect from the government of the day, and now that you've gotten to sit on this seat, we're seeing an inaction or inactivity.
And again, talking about the two executives of Binance that flew into Nigeria, right. I guess if they shut the Binance down, this executive that came probably is to discuss and negotiate with the Nigerian government, put regulations in place and all of that. But locking them up is like scaring other people who wish to invest in Nigeria. But in as much as they have found out that that is helping to devalue the naira and all of that, is for them to actually sit at a table with them and then find a solution, but not to scare other people away.
Well, you know what I think it is with the devaluing of the naira? I think there's a lot of money in circulation, to be very honest. Because when there's a lot of money in circulation, then the prices there's too much money chasing one particular commodity. It's like when one commodity is being chased by a lot of money, inflation rises, right? So if they want to shore up the naira, they should, increase productivity and stop chasing these guys. They're just here to make business. And a lot of Nigerian youths depend on this Binance, platform to trade their cryptocurrency and make money, because to be honest, unemployment is skyrocketing every day, and so this is just one of the means the youths try to get their daily bread. But to cripple down that, and to worsen the situation, they actually fined them $10 billion, the detained executives. And it's just very funny, because what is the audacity to actually detain people who are in Nigeria for business and proceed to name such ridiculous amount of money that you're expecting?
Wow, you mean, is it $10 million or
$10 billion?
Dollars, not naira.
Right.
Well, okay, we have heard it now. So we are even headed towards a very further hunger in Nigeria, because the investors we are talking about sure are not coming up. And again, for people who are asking, Tinubu in Saudi Arabia, they said he's going to go for a business introductory summit and all of that. Let's see how many investors are going to come back from Qatar, not Saudi, by the way. Right. So let's see how many Qataris are going to come back with the economic team to actually invest in Nigeria. But away from that, let's also come down here and look at other things that are happening in this very hunger time. Like we mentioned on the starting, Anambra State lawmaker Henry Mbachu advocates change of strategy to fight against poverty, and has actually met with the caucus of the Labour elected lawmakers in the House of Assembly, Anambra State, to, and they make a pronouncement that is very, very key. If I should read the communique that actually came out. So these members of the Labour Party caucus in Anambra State has fashioned a way to help their constituencies. And let me read the communique. This is Anambra State Labour Party House of Assembly caucus. He said, we, the Labour Party House of Assembly members, wish to lend our voice to the cry of our dear leader, His Excellency, Mr. Peter Obi, on the state of the nation after our emergency caucus meeting sitting. We therefore advise the federal and state government as follows. 1. That His Excellency Mr. Bola Ahmed Tinubu should suspend work on all other sectors, including infrastructure, for the next 6 months and declare state of emergency on security and hunger in the nation. 2. All state governors, including our dear Governor Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, to suspend all infrastructural development in their various states for the next 6 months and declare state of emergency on the and hunger. 3. We, the Labour Party House of Assembly members, will relinquish our basic salary for 6 months to be our contribution to alleviate the suffering of the masses. In conclusion, we all know that campaign is over and the election is over. Majority of Nigerians are suffering. People are dying every day as a result of hunger and insecurity. Thus, there is need for the federal government and state governments to adhere to the advice given by our leader, Mr. Peter Obi. We must commend our leader, His Excellency Mr. Peter Gregory Obi, for this selfless effort to ensure the stability and growth of our nation. It really shows that he is committed to make this nation a better place for all of us. To the masses, hope is a virtue. We must sustain hope. That is the currency for better tomorrow. Signed, Honorable Nkechi Ogbuefi, Comrade Nigeria Henry Mbachu, and others. Very, very going on the right direction. Declare hunger, insecurity and hunger as an emergency procedure. And that is a very sound directive or opinion coming from this Labour Party lawmakers, and I applaud them for that. And let us also hear more from Henry Mbachu, who actually went out to his constituencies and doing the needful, taking from the little that he's been paid for in the House of Assembly and doing handout, not just the bread that we see happening in different places, but giving out handout of money in envelopes across the market market, throughout his constituency. Let's take a listen to what he has to say and the process that he underwent doing that, so that others will take you to this ending hunger.
Adequate food and nutrition, lack of access to adequate shelter, lack of access to safe drinking water, low literacy rates, among others. A lawmaker representing Awka South 1 has challenged people of influence to join hands with government in the poverty reduction struggle. He advises that the goal would be attained by stimulating economic growth to increase incomes and expand employment opportunities for the poor, undertaking economic and institutional reforms to enhance efficiency and improve the utilization of resources, prioritizing the basic needs of the poor.
If you do reality check, there is hunger in the land. Every public office holder, every government official should open their vote, their savings, and come and know what to do with the poor masses. There is hunger in the land. We are not doing that again, inflation, dollar rate, blah, 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 blah. The basic thing is that there is hunger in the land. And that, if we do not take care of people to save them from hunger, I fear what is coming.
You can buy one bag of pepper, 30,000. Ordinary onions, you can buy one bag of onions, 120 or 130,000. You know, when some people, poor people, cannot afford it, you know that some people can come and beg 50 naira. Like this one now is 200, this one is 1,000. When some cannot afford it. So things are very hard. We ask government to, to help us.
A little bit away from this happening, but we must applaud the Anambra State lawmakers, especially the caucus of the Labour Party, that they are doing a good thing. Because when you see people who are actually doing good, you need to applaud them so that they can be motivated to do more. So, and that is also going out to other legislators, Labour Party, senators, and other people across their constituency to do the same. We see Tony Nwoye also doing that during the Yuritide season, giving bags of rice and all of that. So I think the Labour Party people are actually doing the right things.
Well, this is the empathy we are always talking about when we're, speaking in reference to our leaders, because we understand that the country is hard. Like you said, if you do a reality check, the majority of people are very hungry. There was a recent report that was released that I think the CBN said less than 5% of Nigerians have 500,000 naira in their accounts. And it was just a very saddening reality, because for a country of over 200 million people, less than 5%. I think 5% is a stretch. I think they said 1%, but that's besides the point. At least this is the empathy we expect from these people. Yes, the country cannot be run on palliatives, but in the hierarchy of political positions, these are the people that should be less stressed about people being hungry. But we see that they are able to come out to even say, okay, you know what, I'm going to let go of my salary for 6 months, because I believe I'm in a better position to take care of myself, and I think people need this more. And so this empathy, instead of coming out to make bogus statements, because he could have joined our president in saying the NLC is doing so much, right? But it is this empathy that we expect from them. At least if we see them and see them come out like this, when next it's election and you're having or soliciting for the votes of these people, it makes sense, because it's like we now know that you care about us and that you have, even if it's the least, good intentions for us.
Yes, I think with that, these lawmakers, the way they stress the fact that P2B has been very supportive to them. I always like people who look at it from the perspective of P2B has been going around assisting people, and they have to take the mantle, you understand me, because they are now in the place to do all of this. So while we wait for the 2027 that Tinubu has dared the hungry Nigerians for, I will not fail in every episode to hit it hard for all of us to know that Tinubu has dared Nigerians and the youths of Nigeria that is hungry today for 2027. Let's see how that happens. But before we go, we won't forget to tell you that His Excellency Peter Obi was traveling and had to see the youths who came for excursion at the Anambra International Airport and had to, the children all rushed to him. He's loved by many. I bet you that if Tinubu was passing through this airport, these youths will all run away. Then nobody will come close to him. But this is the people's president. This is the majority of Nigerians voted for. And he took out his time, take pictures with these youths and also encourage them on their future endeavors and all of that. That is the making of who we call a leader. And again, yesterday we were talking about who is actually a leader. Is it somebody who is just at the top, or somebody who sits on a table and command the people, or somebody who comes out to mock hungry people?
Well, for me, a leader is someone who has influence, and not just influence that is not bots, right? Because there's a difference between just being a leader because you're in a place of authority and being a leader because you're able to influence people by your lifestyle and by your character. And that's who Peter B really is, to be honest, because like you rightly said, if we put some of this, I'm trying not to mention names, but if we put some of these politicians in this same situation, a lot of people will probably stone them, right? So seeing that these people, you can tell that they know who he is and know his antecedents and what he's known for, and that's why they're naturally drawn to him. So leadership goes beyond just holding an office, and it just goes into, influencing people to do right by your lifestyle. So
as on our see, our time don't they give us signal where they give us, we say make we carry our things come out for studio. But before we come out for studio, I will not fail to mention that somebody actually declined the offer, a position at the Central Bank of Nigeria. Somebody that Tinubu has appointed has said, no, I can't work with this set of people. Forget the other drama that is in there. But when we come back later in the day, we will bring that very story. We will unveil that very face and we will bring you how it was debated in the Senate. Until then, as we go, do not fail to like and subscribe to this video and let other well-meaning Nigerians and obedience know that Tinubu has dared Nigerians to 2027. And with that, until you come your way again, bye for now.